Well, hello there. Ah, all blurry. All right, we'll fix everything. 1 second. First, we'll make sure that's good. It is. And that's good, and that's good. I think we're all right there. All right, let's fix this. And it fell over. Excellent. Love that. Unplug it. Plug it back in. There we go. Okay. Let's get this rocking and rolling here. And there was another thing. That. Okay, so. I worked on this a little bit yesterday. I really think I still need to lift the controller up into this as well. I moved up the on change so that get the modifier here. So an on change happens and we set a state, we change the value of the modifier. That works. As you can see, life is good. Problem is, if we reset, it does work, but we're sending a draw call or a build, a set state or a mark needs build, while things are already being built. And that's because the only way I was able to get that to actually reset correctly was to pull back in our old friend did update widget, which would reset the value inside of here. So that's kind of the same thing we're doing over here, except we don't do all of that in reset fields for all of our other controllers. So I'm thinking if I do lift up the controller and make that a required parameter of a number picker, or I guess it doesn't necessarily need to be no, it will need to be required, because the other way is we need to provide an initial value and then it automatically initializes a controller. But we still need to do stuff. And our update value, we moved over to fire the on change to feed that value in. So that should still be working. Let me double check that. Yes, we're good there. It's only the reset that's broken. So we're going to start there today. I was hoping to make this more encapsulated in the widget, but it's just not going to work. So we're going to need let's see. Let's put you up here. That. And then like so. And then in here, goodness. We get rid of that. We still need our focus node. We won't need any of this. We won't need that. We won't need any of that. Which means we don't need to override that at all. That. That. I don't think we'll need... because this was firing the on change. Yeah, we'll still use this. Because this will engage the on change, or the update value here. Ooh, actually, no. That won't happen anymore. We actually need to bring back our init override. Because... we're going to need to still init this. We need this to be that. Then here we do we remove the value on the listener when we dispose of you. Okay. And then this. Pretty sure. Okay, and then we need to go fix this. We're going to need to initialize a couple more controllers. That. And then we don't need to initialize this to anything. Our widget is going to take care of that. But let's spell it correctly. Do we even need the value at this point? What if we ditch that? We ditch that. We ditch that. We still need the listener. We probably don't need this check anymore for that. That was something I was playing around with, trying to get it to work correctly. Ooh. That would break that. Do I care? We could just do that. I don't know if I'm going to regret that or not. We can put it back later if we don't like it, I guess. But then here... we do our modifier to string. But we need to check. either way. Perfect. Okay. Could I do the same thing? No, because of the call, I think. Call order, I believe. Anywho. Oh, we need to do also, while we're here, what are my other fields called? Damage per tick is the only other one, I think. Might as well get that wired up while we're here. Text. We do I don't need duration string. I just need to I can do the same thing here, I think. Okay. Stop that, internet. There's no storm tonight. You should be fine. Behave yourself. No is not a subtype type text data controller function result. We need to remember to do this though, real quick. Do that first before I dig into this. What are you? Nothing. Okay. Well, I don't know what it was complaining about a second ago. It shouldn't have mattered for that. Anywho. So now that doesn't reset, but it's not supposed to because we haven't yet come up here. It said reset fields. That, or not take time, need to do that though. Oh, I also need to do the update value. We'll get to that in a second. While we're here, let's also remember to do damage per tick. Ooh, actually. This might be a mistake. We'll have to revisit that maybe. Okay, now up, 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 up. Boop, down to -1 again. Okay, perfect. I guess I don't really need the on change anymore. No, I do need it still. because it does need to increment this, and then that'll make the widget rebuild. And then resetting the text will fire that. So yeah, we're good there. Okay. Okay, now let's think here if... Well, modifiers never know. It can be null, though. So what I should do, really, is say, if it's null, then that. So we set it to 0 again. And we do the same thing here, I think. The other thing we need to do is to trigger our modified when we do a change into these guys. Modifier is value, and then effect modified is true. We need to do the same thing in our damage per tick. Which right now we don't actually do anything here. We do need to do that though. We need to set state, put that up in there, but also we need to say that. So that should get us working down here for free. Okay, perfect. And then let me chuck a print in here real quick, and then if we do, we need to handle that. Yeah, so it's getting updated correctly. We need to make sure we handle no numbers in there. Let's do a commit here though first. Let me get that up here. Tired. Move the text in here. Actually, do we need to do that? Yes. We need to just handle this exception. Seriously? Again? Internet? What's wrong with you today? Why are you like this today? You were doing so good before. Oh, there's a triparse. Tell me more. Returns null where similar call to parser through a format exception. Okay. Oh. Okay. That's fine because we're not going to do anything with a null. We're going to call that. We're going to do that. I'm going to fix up that. That's an int. Then we do that. All right, what are we mad about here? Okay. What? Ah, because you are that. There. So now if we do crazy things like delete that, we don't get an error here, nothing happens. Ooh. I made a change to this to only allow numbers, but that actually doesn't allow me to use a sign. Crap. Flutter text. Wait, was it? No, it's the form field. Text form field. Numbers only does not allow whatchamacallit, negative sign. And also forget to start this. Hopefully. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. Scoot you down here. Okay. Text field and negative numbers. Double check here. Number with options. Okay. So we need to change that. We can also take this out. We're done with that. So in here, text input formatter, number with options signed true. Not decimal though. Does that allow me to? Nope, not yet. But also, they don't have. This is only for the soft keyboard. What are my options here? I think I would need to allow, and this is gonna be a regex, right? So I would need to allow digit characters and the minus. Hang on. Characters matching a pattern. We need more doc. Flutter, input, formatter, pattern, allow. Give more doc, please. I would need to do this. Oops. That. This. That. Unless I have totally messed up and forgotten, which is 100% possible. This should allow me to... I can't do... No, I've messed up. I have. I think it's a capital D. No, that should be a digit. Let's do that really quick. Do that. Oh, it's been saved. A raid? Well, goodness. Hello. Thank you. Xcode Media? Hello. I'm not familiar with you. Okay, that's got digits working. We're just doing a little work on the editor here. What are you up to? So that's working. Now I need how would I do this in Dart? I want to say it should just be that. Just started learning C, building a roughly advanced project. Gotcha. Okay. What kind of project? Projects are the best way to learn. Love a good project. I still can't. It's interesting that breaks. What if I put it in front? Would I need to do that? I would. Okay, there we go. Okay. It's an application that will essentially build my TCG cards and place them into a print-ready document. Okay, nice. That's pretty rad. Okay, so now we got that. So what I'm building is, this is the game editor for, and I'm rebuilding it, for the mud server that I'm, / engine that I'm building. So the idea is that you should be able to assemble a reasonably complete game without knowing any code by using the editor to build your own mud world, essentially, within the engine. So this is status effects that could be applied to a character. We'll need to do some other stuff. I built it using a framework that just isn't ready for UI, and so we're rebuilding it in Flutter now because it's more production ready. Okay, so we need to do a commit here. And say, what did we change over here? Oh, we deleted that line. Yeah, that's fine. We need to do allow negative sign in the number picker. Hello to you as well, Yosef. I'm doing all right. How are you? Okay, what's next? What's next on the list of chores here? We've got that all working now. Let me collapse this mess. We need to do form submitting eventually. We need a way to save this before we do that. But also, we're missing the property to modify. We need to build some other bits and pieces for that to read that from the file. We need to do both the skills and abilities, I believe. And then we need to build in here the widget to switch that. We used to do, I should pull up my old screenshot here. So we used to have property to modify, and then it was a drop down. It listed a skill or ability. So you pick that, and then it would load a list here. So we need to do that. But in order to do that, we need to build the ability to, in here, we need that. Maybe we need to do that for sure. We need to have a controller. This needs to be, well, we'll do that in a minute. We'll need to distinguish between which controllers. This guy will need to have the other controllers. Although if we did that here, we'd have to hand it into here. The other option would be that it would have to load and dispose of a controller anytime you clicked onto one of these. So yeah, I think we're going to do that for sure. We're going to pass him in. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to need to do... Let's do another directory for you. We'll kind of keep the same pattern. It's been working pretty well so far. We'll do skills first. And inside of here, we're going to have, similarly, the skill model, which will be the actual guy. And then we'll have a controller for it. And we're going to lean heavily on this work we've already done, because our controller essentially just knows how to read things. This is the actual model that represents it. We won't need this, I don't think. We need to pull up. This is just the easiest way to do so. The whatchamacallit here. The data file. Skills. So we've got a, grab the wrong window. So we've got an ID, a name, a description, help desk, base attribute ID. And we can store those, that's fine. We're gonna need that. Not satisfacts, skill. And we're gonna need similar. We're gonna need our name, description, help text. This is actually going to be base attribute ID. And then I need a constructor. We'll say this is required for now. We're eventually going to need this to not be so that we can support creating one, I think. But for now, we'll do this. And then we'll do that as well as an optional. Oh, I forgot. Forgot that. That's important. There we go. Okay. Meow. What else do we need in here? We need a from JSON so that we know how to unmarshal you. We'll do the same. String, dynamic, JSON. UUID is JSON dot contains key UUID and that's not null. And if you're valid, from string that then we can do this. Same deal. Otherwise, you're null if we fail to load you. That needs to be capitalized. Oh my gosh. I can't type today. Okay, there we go. And then, same deal here. What are you mad about? It's because I don't have... Okay, yeah. I'm not done yet. That's why. This... That should be pretty simple and bulletproof. That. And then help text. That. And then the base attribute ID, we'll do the same thing. We'll make sure that we have that key. And I don't know if this null check is actually required. We'll have to double check that in a minute here. For now, we'll do it and is valid from string, pump in the JSON UUID as string. If it is, then we make a UUID value from the string JSON UUID as string This doesn't need brackets. Otherwise, this is null. That is, we're missing one of them somewhere along the way. And we need one of them. Okay. Format that out for me. Same deal for converting the other way around. To JSON. We make you to string, easy peasy. Easy peasy. That. And then I think this one we want to only write if it's not null. And we oh, I need to fix that. I messed up there. We need to check and make sure. Yes, that is the correct string for the key. Like so. Why can't I? Oh. I take these out for this. That goes in there though. Okay. This, however, up here I need to fix up. This all needs to be base attribute ID. Okay. And we're gonna need to do testing for these guys similar to how we did the other stuff. But let me do this. Let me just do a commit for this. Actually, hang on. What does our controller do? We just have a load effects and a save effects. Yeah, we're going to do the same exact thing over here real quick. And I put this in the wrong file. Like an Egypt. You go into the model. Here, do I need convert? I think I do. We're going to let it sit there, though, for a second. You're going to be skill controller. We're going to need the same exact API. And you're an empty. I need you to be imported. I don't need that just yet. Because we, oops, wrong braces. We need to say that's required for this to work. Otherwise things are not good. We're going to do a future void here. Load skills, async. And I'll wait. File path, read as string, then string contents, same exact thing. That's going to need to be in there. We're going to need to import the IO. It's going to give us an iterable list, file data. When we decode your contents, this is going to be convert, come in. This, same deal. From, we're going to map. Where did effect data come in over here? Oh, because we called it that. Okay, yeah. Skill from JSON. Skill data, just like we did over the other one. We're gonna do the same thing here. Use our encoder. So that it makes it nice. When we write it, our indent will be a single tab. Same way it is up there. We write as string, pretty encoder, convert our skills. Okay, now we'll do a commit there. Oops. For rough in the model and controller for skills based on status effects. And if we need to change from there later when we do more work with that, then we can. Perfectly okay. Okay. Oh, did I not? I did. Okay, it's just being slow in the UI. Okay, perfect. Now, let me sidetrack myself really quick. We don't have a test for a null UID. So let's add one. JSON data, no UUID. Boop. If we do that, we expect you to be null, but not to blow up. And it does. Okay. Now, if we were to come over here and remove this null, check here. Would this all still pass? It would. Okay. Let's do one more of these. We say null UUID here. We'll give you an empty string here. I should say empty UUID. Okay, yes, everything's fine. We don't actually need that null in there. Remove unneeded null, check, add tests to prove it's not needed. Unless I'm overlooking something. Totally possible, but we're going to run with it for now and hope and trust in the test. Let's close that. Okay. Which means I'm going to move you over here real quick, just in case we need to refer back to you. We might just copy like the general structure real quick out of you. Get over there. Which means that we don't need this in skill either, which will clean up this a little bit, which I'm all for. Especially because we do it twice. Okay, now let's do New file. We'll start testing the model. We need that. We need that. Like so. Which will require us to import you. Perfect. Okay, so. Oh, I have messed that up. There we go. Okay, so we need to say, we need to do the same thing. We need to unmarshal. We don't need to worry about duration. We're just going to do a plain Jane, everything filled in one to start. We're going to do the same thing here. This worked well. We're going to just declare a new test data map here. And then I'm going to copy, actually, from here so that we have a good UUID. And actually we can use the real data. Ain't nothing wrong with that. We can use our description. I'm going to remember to use the correct quotes eventually, one day maybe. We're going to need help text. Like so, just something to hold there, and then that, which will be that. Perfect. And then we're going to say skill result. Let's go from JSON. We need to import you though. Test data. Now. This. Same thing, exactly as we did it on the other side. Perfect. Name should be that. Description. That. Help text. Nope, not that. This. Ooh, no, no, no. That. I have one too many. I do have one too many. Missing one of those. There we go. Okay. That should be everything all the same. Okay, perfect. We're going to do the same test over here. Because We want to prevent any regression where we don't handle this correctly. This becomes null. And the same here, where it's just empty. You become null. Perfect. Okay. All this should pass, no probs. We're going to do, oops. No base attribute UUID. And then we expect this to be null. Perfect. And we're also going to chuck in, just because it's going to be really easy, and make sure that we don't have any regressions in the future where this becomes problematic. Same deal, we expect you to become null. Perfect. Awesome. Love that. Add unmarshal tests to for skill model. Okay. Perfect. Loves that. We're going to do the same thing over here for parsing. We don't need to parse duration because that's our own invention. We need to test Marshall. We did that by having a defined. Then we created it. Okay. Yeah. We're going to follow that same pattern here, more or less. Just copy this for the sake of expediency. We're just going to chuck everything. Oops. Chuck everything that was in there. Just like so. And here's where we'll also add testing for, if we don't have a base attribute, we're going to omit the field. But that's we'll use our same UUID that we were testing with before. And use our real data here too. That's fine. Oops. That. String description equals use sports. Good. And I've been using the wrong quote here again. Go. Leave help text. Yes. Like so. Did we actually do? No. The writing to files all happened in the controller. We'll do that next. We do a base attribute ID. Base attribute ID from string. Borrow our real data again. But I'm going to use the right quotes. Okay, now skill you like so. That should all be super Gucci. And then this will become my internet will decide to be finicky. That. Expect you to be name. That. 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 Base attribute ID to string. Okay. All this should be very happy. And it is perfect. I believe we did tests over here. No duration, durations, yes. Yeah, empty default keys not written. What did we test here? Yeah, this is the one. Okay, we did the same thing. We'll say empty base ID, or rather base attribute ID not written. We can just chuck that completely. That goes away. It's not required, so we're good. And then here we're gonna say what was it? Has key, contains key, JSON contains key. So that's result dot contains key. The key is base attribute ID. We expect that to be false. Perfect. Let's see. Do we need any other tests for marshalling? I don't think so, because this one's way simpler than the status effect. I think that's good for now. If we need to come back to it, we will. We will say add marshalling tests for skill model. Okay, perfect. And all of that is totally fine. We don't need to worry about that right meow. Our controller, on the other hand, can I put, hang on, inquiring minds wish to know. There's a new Flutter version. Okay, so I can Flutter test from there. Could also do this, I think, to run all of my tests. Okay, perfect. Can I put these into subdirectories? And put you in here and still have it run correctly? I can. Perfect. We'll put you in there. We'll get that nicely organized. Organize tests to feature folders. Love that. Love that lots. Okay. So, next. Let's look at what we did for testing here. We're going to copy some of these same patterns, I think, because they worked out for me well so far. Not model, controller. Already open. Getting ahead of myself. So we've got our controller. Let's go ahead and create a new Dart file in here. We don't need that. Controller test here. So we're going to need a lot of this. We're going to need this still. We're going to copy this whole thing and we're going to repurpose it with this data here. Which I can at least in half steal like so. And I could actually double steal, but then replace. Actually, we're going to triple steal. We're going to use the real UUIDs for test data. Oh. There we go. That's still fine. This needs to become that. This needs to become that. That's still fine. This comes over here like so. There's our test data squared away. We're going to need this all still. That's fine. This is not that. It's that now. Import you. Okay. We're going to need a main with a setup all and tear down all still. Like so. This is going to require importing that. This will require importing convert. We got convert IO. We've got test, Flutter test. Okay, perfect. We're going to do basically the same thing with these, though. But this is going to be skills. This is going to be a skill controller. Like so. We need to import you. That's fine. This becomes load skills. This is not effects. This is skills. We expect you to not be 2, though. We expect you to be 3. There's 3 test skills. This is a skill, result 1, skills 0. We need to import skill. We need to import UUID value. Name, description, help text, all of that. Good. Expect result 1 dot base attribute ID value. Oh my gosh. From string test data 0 base attribute ID. All of that. Same deal. This is a skill. This is skills. Skill. I love profiting from past me's work. This, whomp, there. Third, we'll test them all. There we go. And then all of that is 2. This should just work. It didn't. Got UUID trubs. Why do we have UUID trubs? Let me just make sure real quick. Run test and test. Everything except for this one should still be passing. We already did that. It should be, yeah. We're good. It's just an error in here. Entity value. Test data 0, test data 1, test data 2. 0, 1, 2. We expected it to be CFB. Where is CFB? Where did you get that? Oh, it's a base attribute ID. It's not a CFB. We expect you to be that. Oh, did I forget to change? I didn't change this. Whoops. Let's try that again, shall we? $83. Okay. So we expected 5555555. We got, oh, did I forget to change this too? I did. Didn't change that. Copy pasta errors. There we go. More better. Now, we're going to do same thing we did here. So we created our effects, or not, yeah, our effects. We'll create our skills. We'll set up a right path. Okay. Right, yeah. We did this way to try to bypass and focus the test on the exact things we want. This is just going to be a little bit more then we didn't gain anything by copying, essentially, this one. So we need skill. Test skill 1 is a skill. We use our test data still here, and I'm quite happy to continue doing that. Actually, I could copy this like so, and then I would only have to do this like so, and then I could come up here, and we're gonna make 2 and 3 and hope that I don't forget to change anything. Okay, there's our skills. What did we do now? We just put you in a file. Wait. We should have put you into... Oh, we do. Okay, yeah. We just set up our right path first. I see. And we do platform path separator, right test, JSON. Where is this going to end up at? Test data, test file path. We're going to do a skill right test, and this is going to end up being status effect right test, just to make sure that we don't overwrite anything, step on our own toes, right? So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to set up a right path. We're going to set up a new controller. Skill controller file path is going to be the one we just made. And then we can say our skills are the ones we just made, like so. I'm gonna save effects. We're going to do the same thing we did here. We read you back as a string. We know that we're going to get an iterable when we decode the JSON. But we're not going to unmarshal you. This should actually say, is what it should say in both cases. And then same thing. We have a list of results, which is a list from, so we convert you just to a list of maps, right? And we'll map that like so. Figuring all that out was a bear. I'm glad I don't got to do it twice. Because we just want to pull out the maps, not actual skills, because then we could have an issue with the unmarshaller. We really just want to test reading it correctly. Or saving it correctly. That make sure that we wrote to the file as we expect it to look. This does not test, however, formatting, and we'll have to do that manually just to be sure, but that's like a sanity check. It's not the end of the world if it isn't perfect. It's just for human readability. But this all is still going to work because we still use those same things, but then results 0. Base attribute ID test data 0 base attribute ID, and then we tested both of those. We're going to test all 3 of these. That's not what I want. I want this. That. And then one more. Two. That. 2. Easy peasy, hopefully. Let's see. Oop, we forgot something. String's not, that would be a thing, wouldn't it? Okay, we're very happy with that. We're going to temporarily comment that out right quick. So that we can look in test data and see skill right test. That doesn't really look like a tab to me. In fact, that's probably a problem over here too. That would be over here in our skill controller. What if I did that? See what happens. That looks like tabs. Okay. Interesting that it interpreted that as spaces instead of a tab, because I did a tab character in there. But now we know. Okay, so we'll fix that in a second in the other one as well. We'll run this one more time just so it cleans itself up and make sure everything is good and happy. Perfect. That'll take care of that. Add tests for skill controller. Ensure we don't step on the status effect. test file name. Push that up real quick. And then we'll actually come into our status effect controller. We did the same thing here. We'll make sure that you're a tab as well. Use tab character for status effect controller indent. Okay, now we need to essentially do the same thing one more time so that we have a model and a controller for the attributes. Let's see, how do I want to do this? That's fine. We're going to close the skill stuff. Close that for a second. I put it in skills. That's fine, because we're going to add screens. I should really rename it from screens. I'll think about that. But for right now, we're going to add attributes. This is going to be the model. We'll add you. And we're going to cheat off of ourselves again. We're going to need UUID. Have a class. UUID value is a UUID. String name, string description, string help text. This was required over there. We'll match that. For now, missed a comma. Okay, and then we need our from JSON. Same deal. Same deal. Is valid from string JSON UUID as string from string. Oh my gosh. One day I'll learn where that key actually lives. Otherwise, it is null. Then we need name, easy, description, easy, help text, easy, and I think that's actually all we need. I should do that, I think. Did I do that for my skill? I did, okay. And then We need 2 JSON. We'll just borrow our syntax here. Map string dynamic 2 JSON arrow func UUID. It's the UUID in the string. Name. Description. Help text. Oop. So UUID, name, description, help text. That's it. Easy one. We don't need any of that. We're good there. Add attribute model. Perfect. We can chuck test at this. Perfectly okay with that. We'll cheat off ourselves. We don't really have any optional stuff right now. So only the UUID is all that we're going to need to test for troubles, I think. An attribute from JSON. Import testing. Okay. Map string dynamic. We'll do the same exact thing we did before. We're just going to use one of our data attributes. Forgot an equal. This was strength. You are strong. Lift heavy rock. And then help text. More text about rocks. Okay. We need attribute result is attribute. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's because I haven't imported you. That's why I'm having troubles. Import, please. From JSON. Test data. That's going to require an import. Like that. That is that. Just like so. Perfect. Love that. Long time. Run. Beautiful. And then we'll do our same tests here just to keep on top of it. Should pass. Good. Beautiful. Empty version. Same deal. Should make you null. Perfect. Okay. Meow. Let's commit. Commit add tests for unmarshalling attributes. Now we just need to do the marshal side. Follow our past work a little bit here. Marshal and attribute from to JSON. Like so. UID value from string. Copy you again. Chuck you in there. Remember to put you in quotes of the right flavor. You are strength. That string help text. More text about rocks. Just something to be in there. And then perfect. All of that is exactly as we wish it to be. And then we do to JSON to be the UID. Description. Help text. And then we do, oh my gosh. We don't omit an empty string for the UUID over here. It's not, you're not really supposed to be able to have a empty UUID. We need to make sure that it's not, it's just we have to have it nullable because of the value. But we won't omit it. We'll leave it empty, which will result in a null in the unmarshaled. So we don't even need to do anything funky here, I don't think. Yeah, I think we're good there. If I think of something, I'll add it later. Now we're going to do add test for marshalling and attribute. Perfect. Now, that's done. We're going to add a controller, and we'll take inspiration from here as well. We're going to need convert, might as well just do it now. Dart.io, might as well do it now. Oh, I didn't spell you correctly. And we'll do it the model. That's too long to type. We'll do it. We'll let the ID help us. You are an attribute controller. You do need a file path. I wonder if does Dart have like an interface? I guess it doesn't really matter. For now, these guys all look the same, but it's possible that they would diverge in the future. So it just doesn't really matter. Acquired a file path. Did you not? Oh, it killed my imports. Right, I forgot about that. It's fine. It's fine. String contents. We can still use that name. That's perfectly fine. Iterable file data. Decode contents. And then attributes is list attribute from file data map attribute data attribute from JSON. The attribute data. We need to import convert. There we go. Same deal. With indent, use the character, write a string for the encoder, convert attributes. Perfect. Meow. Do a commit. Add attribute controller. New file. And we're going to borrow from ourselves again. That's the model test. I want controller test. We can use some of this. We can use all of that. Boop. Like so. We're going to need that. We're going to need that. We're going to need that. We're going to need you. You are strength. You can lift stuff. Or that heavy. All right, wait. It was you are strong. Lift heavy rock. I like that. Help text. We can just placeholder this. More text about rocks. We don't need any of that because these guys are much simpler. And we can just plonk you in place. 2, 3, 4 of you in here. And we'll just use the same, we'll use as much data as we have, right? Meow. Oh no. Oh no. I've used incorrect quotes in this entire map. Deeply, deeply annoying. Fixed. We'll have to come back here. Did I do the same thing in skill controller? No. I was only dumb in status effect controller. Cool. Okay, and then we need to... I did grab that already. You are good at jumping. Something about tigers. And then we had endurance. You're going the distance. Ah, come on now. I don't know why Dart just wants single quotes. It makes me deeply annoyed, but we'll follow. You're going the speed? Or was it 4 speed? Doesn't matter. No, it does. It's gonna drive me nuts. I think it's 4 speed. It is 4 speed. There we go. Crisis averted. I won't wake up in a cold sweat tonight, wondering if I got it wrong. And then we just used mind as a placeholder. That's fine. Just thinking about them beans, of course. Okay. That's fine. This is not test effects. This is test attributes. Okay. We're doing good. So loading from file. We just loaded you up and did this, and we can copy some of this stuff. So. I guess I was title casing those. We'll keep up that tradition, I suppose. Like so. Meow. We expect you not to be empty. We also expect your length to be 4. Oh. That. And then let's copy all the way to help text here. Shoop. First attributes. Attributes. Import you. Import you. That all should work. We could have gotten away with not having all of these, but like, yeah. 0, good. One, 2, 3. Oh, duh. What a silly thing to have done. All right, this should all pass. It doesn't. I've messed something up. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Expected 3, or CFB rather, but we got 3BD2. This is on line 73. Oh no, I'm dumb. Forgot to change those. Let's try that again, shall we? Perfect. Love a good green test. Okay, and then the writing test. We create ourselves actually I could do because we've used our data so effectively, we could actually just copy this whole thing here and that'll all just work because we're using the same layout. And then we can do 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. You're 1, 2, 3. Then we create ourselves a write path, which is tester path with a platform dot path separator. And then you are attribute write test JSON. We created a new controller using that. Attribute controller, test, write path, test controller dot save effects. We forgot to put you in though. Test controller dot attributes, not save effects, it's save attributes. But we say test attribute 1, 2, 3, 4. Did I screw that up? I did screw that up. We'll fix that. And then we do the same thing here. I'm going to make myself type it to help me remember it though. Read back. So contents is await file test write path, read as string, not sync. Iterable file data is JSON decode. The content string, list, map, string, dynamic, because it's JSON. Results is list, string, or map, string, dynamic, from, it's a lowercase, file data map, each attribute as map string dynamic. And then this we can actually copy. The first three are the only ones we'll have. Second map. Third map. Whoa. Fourth. Oop. Go. This should pass now. And it does. Perfect. Let's go ahead and temporarily comment out our teardown and make sure that we like the way things look. Looks pretty good to me. We'll put you back. We'll run one more time so that you clean up yourself. Make sure that everything's good in that regard. Good. Perfect. Loves that. Add test tests for attribute controller. Okay. Now, all of that is done for right meow. So what we need to do, I think we're done with those for now as well. We need this guy to be renamed to effects controller. And then we're going to need an attribute controller. File path. Oh, we need this to be different too. It can stay that way for just 1 second. But that needs to be effects file path. This needs to be attributes file path, which is just attributes JSON. Same path though. Same folder path anyway. And then we're going to need, while we're here, we might as well, I guess we called them skills, not abilities, right? We did call them skills. Skills. lives in skills. But that's okay. Meow. We have all that squared away. Let's go ahead and do commit consume new controllers in status effects. And then up here or over here in our edit panel, we need attribute controller, skill controller, skill controller. We require you. We require you. Because I'm going to need to be able to reach into y'all. And now I need... drop down menu. Docs. I want to make sure this looks correct. But the dart pad is having trubs. Style from unmodifiable list view. Okay. Ah, okay. That's more or less fine. Pull this over here. And I need to look at... Oh, that takes a controller too? Okay. Interesting. What if I don't? Does this... No, it doesn't. Okay. So I need to go down. I've got my controllers, meow. I might want to... Getting ahead of myself. I need to look at this first. So list. They build the list. Okay. Text controllers. They have a selected color and a selected icon. Okay. Drop down menu in trees. Okay. So I'm going to need to drive this off of like an enum or something with 2 options in it. Which is kind of what we did with something. I will drive the list that gets presented from whichever one of these ones off of that. And then there is unselected. Okay. So the first thing we need is a controller for them, basically. Let me do a quick commit though. Assume new controllers in the edit widget. Don't want to lose that if I roll back or have to, dig it out. It would just be annoying. So modifier, and then we'll put you right above here. Text editing controller. You are the, let's call you modified selector. Sure. You don't have anything yet. Final text editing controller. If I'd I hope this will work. I'd hate to dump these into one. In fact, I can't dump these into one list because they're different things. We'll leave that up there for a second. We need to do... Where did I do that? I did that in... did that in the client. Client, new window. We did a state picker up here. So we're going to need to do the same thing more or less, where we have client stage. So we're going to need an enum here, I think. For sanity's sake, I believe. And we can do let's call you that. And you're going to have attributes. And you're going to have skills for now. And then they did They did a type def for their example here. They've done a more complex enum here. Could I do... Yes, because we want to make this a little bit easier. So you're going to be that, and you're going to have a label. And then... That's all inside of their enum over here? Huh. Okay, I do that, and then I say... Hang on, I want you to be a little less crazy. And then you can auto-format to whatever you want. But they're saying... we can call it a label still, that's fine. Label isn't a field in the enclosing class, because they've done it kind of backwards here. Like so. And then I think... They've done a different thing here with entries. Maybe I can get away with not needing them. I might need to do the type defs. I guess this does make sense for this one though. I guess we call that drop down menu entry. Type is property to modify options. And then in here we can say the same thing they've done. List, except for ours is property to modify options. They called it entries. I'm gonna call you modifiables. Unmodifiable list view of property to modify options. Okay, interesting. I see what they're doing. This is going to probably take an import. It is collection. Okay. It's not a typo. It's just a weird word. And they're saying, just call you entry or option. Am I missing? No, I'm good. This is Modifier selection entry. I think, wait. Yes. Attributes. Label. Oh no, the value is option. Label is the label. Do I mess this up horribly? Probably. Iterable property modify options. List. Oh, this should be... I need to clean up these names. These names are horrible. Modifier selection entry. Unmodifiable list view. And this should also be modifier selection entry. And then that's that option should be, this should be, that's correct. Oh, I've missed a thing. That's why. Down here, values.map to of that kind. And then I'm missing one close. Values.map property to modify options. No. This should be the other way around. Modifier selection entry. There we go. Okay, so modifiables is an unmodifiable list view of modifier selection entries. We do so by mapping the values of type this guy. For each of the options inside of this enum, we make an entry of this guy. Okay, I track what they're doing now. It's very JavaScripty in here. But that hopefully that's fine. This name needs to change. I don't like this name. Modifier options. Let's just call you. That cleans that up a little bit. Do I love that? What if we do that? Maybe that's better. It's still kind of ugly. But then when we come down here, let me roll down to where they were doing this. We have a drop-down menu. So in the same way, oh, we also, I don't want to forget. Hang on one sec. And what did I call you? Modified option. Let's call it that. This is modifier option controller dispose. Fire item controller dispose. Not sure I love those names. We're gonna roll with it. Ooh, how are we going to map this back? Worry about that in a minute. You're in here. You go down here in property to modify inside of the cell padding here. Child, you're going to be drop down menu. Type is going to be modifier options. Think. Menu entries required, that's fine. Drop down menu entries. And in their case, they've just used their entries. This is going to be right. Modifiables, I think. And then we should have, oh, I'm not running. That should give us a list that just is, it's just, this is not main. It's just skills and attributes. And it does. Okay, perfect. We'll have to figure this out in a sec and a little bit for getting them to show and to style that a little better. But we're on the way. So we're going to do a commit here. Add drop down menu for selecting if it's a skill or ability that you wish to modify. Okay. All right, so we're late. That's fine. But I'm going to go make lunch and then go to bed. So if you like this kind of thing, I'd love to see you again. Thanks for everybody who did swing by. We had a couple good chats in here today. It was good to see you. Good to hang out with you. I do this thing usually 4 days a week, starting on Friday, ending on Monday. I start at 8 p.m. Central Time. Twitch, you have a schedule. YouTube, you don't, because they make it hard for me. Do math. Check it up. Look it up online. But yeah, I'd love to see you again tomorrow when I do this again. And if not, then you have a great week anyway. We'll catch you.